Hello everybody, hope all of you are well. And in my last class I have already completed the chapter periodic properties. Today I will start a new chapter, that is chemical bonding and molecular structure. Already the basic concept you got in class 10. Okay, so here we will know about the type of bonds and the structure of the different types of molecules. Now you know what is chemical bond. Bond means attraction. So a chemical bond is defined as the force of attraction which holds the constituent atoms together in a molecule. Now what is the cause of this chemical combination? To acquire noble gas electronic configuration. Okay, maximum elements, okay, they are forming bonds except the noble gas, but here we will learn that noble gas also can form compounds. Now another thing is there, that because of this attractive force, the energy of the molecules also decreases and these molecules become stable compared to the atomic state. Now depending upon the mode of acquiring the nearest noble gas electronic configuration, there are three main types of or common types of bonds. Already I have discussed. First one is ionic bond, or you can say electrovalent bond. Second one is the covalent bond, and third one is the coordinate bond or dative bond. You know that ionic bonds are formed by transferring of electron, covalent bonds are from sharing of electron, and in coordinate bond one atom will donate a pair of electron and another will accept. Okay, and there are other types of bonding. Okay, generally these are based on physical bonds, and we can write that hydrogen bond. Here we will also discuss this thing, okay, this type of bonding. Fifth one, we can think about the metallic bond, presence in metal. And another type of bond we will discuss, that is the van der Waals interaction. That is also one type of non-covalent interactions. Now, just now I told that ionic bonds are formed by the transfer of electrons from one atom to other atoms, and the number of electrons which an atom loses or gains, okay, while they are forming bond, that ionic bond, and this is known as the electrovalence. And there is a strong attractive electrostatic force between the ions or among the ions in ionic compounds. Okay, this is electrostatic force of attraction, and because of this attraction, ionic compounds have high melting point, boiling point, and they are non-volatile. Next we will discuss the Lewis structure. Okay, Lewis dot structure for the formation of ionic compound. Already I have discussed in class 10, here also I am discussing. Suppose if we think about one compound, that is sodium sulfite. So here we will discuss the formation of sodium sulfite. Now we have already know about the electronic configuration of sodium. So in case of sodium, if we write the electronic configuration, it will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. And if we want to write the electronic configuration of sulfur, so it will be 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, then what will come? 3p4. So what you are observing? In case of sodium, this is the valence shell. So there is only one electron. And in case of sulfur, in valence shell, that is 3s3p. So this one is the valence shell. How many electrons are there? Total 6 electrons are there. Okay. So here we will show that sodium containing one electron in this way. This is a dot structure. That means 2, 8, 1. And sulfur containing 6 electrons also in this way. There is 2, 8, 6. And another sodium will come having the one electron, 2, 8, 1. The electronic configuration. Okay. Now what will happen? To fill up the octet, sodium will transfer one electron to the sulfur. So if it releases this electron from 3s1, then its outermost shell having 8 electrons, that is 2s2, 2p6. Now it becomes stable. Now in case of sulfur also, okay, if it can accept 2 electron, then it will be 3s2, 3p6. Okay, so definitely it will fill up its octet. So another sodium will transfer one electron. Finally, what will happen? Sodium will become Na plus and sulfur will become S2 minus. Total 8 electron will be there. And by the electrostatic force of attraction, it will form the compound Na2S. So in this way, by electron dot diagram, that is the Lewis dot diagram, we can present the formation of Na2S molecule. That you will practice, many are there in your book, that you will practice from. Next we will discuss the condition. The condition necessary for this type of ionic bond. First one is the low ionization energy of metals. So generally what we are observing here, one metal is there, another non-metal, like sodium chloride ionic bond. Sodium is the metal and chlorine is the non-metal. In Na2S, sodium is the metal and sulfur is the non-metal. So definitely metals low ionization energy, okay, should have low ionization energy, and high electron gain enthalpy of non-metals. And next is the high lattice energy of the ionic compound. If the lattice energy is higher, that means the ionic compound is very much stable. Now what is lattice energy? Lattice energy is the amount of energy released when oppositely charged ions get packed closely to form 1 mole crystalline solid. So if we take 1 mole Na plus and 1 mole Cl minus, so generally we will represent in this way. When they will combine to form NaCl crystal, definitely there will be released some amount of energy. That energy will be 787 kilojoule per mole. Okay, that will be the lattice energy of the sodium chloride. Okay, hope you can understand. So higher the value of the lattice energy means greater is the stability of the ionic compound and greater attraction between the cations and anions. Next we will discuss the greater electronegativity difference. Definitely metals mean electropositive and non-metals means electronegative. So if the electronegativity between these two atoms is very high, then it leads to the formation of the ionic bond. There will be transfer of electron. And the energy change involved in the formation of ionic compounds from their constituent elements can be calculated with the help of a thermodynamic cycle. Okay, that cycle is called Born-Haber cycle. That we will discuss. So here we have discussed already that sodium chloride forming 787. So from Born-Haber cycle we can show you that the lattice energy of NaCl will be 787 kilojoule per mole. Now Born-Haber cycle formation for 1 mole NaCl, first you have to take solid sodium. Now if you want to convert 1 mole sodium to 1 mole Na gas, that energy is called sublimation energy. Okay, so sodium in the solid state will convert into sodium in the gaseous state. Then to convert Na to Na plus, that means we have to remove one electron. Okay, and here we are, whatever we are thinking, there is all time 1 mole, that means Avogadro number we are considering, that you have to keep in mind. So here what will be the ionization energy? Okay, so this will be the ionization energy, that sodium to Na plus. Later I will tell the amount of this ionization energy. Okay, so this is ionization energy. This is required to forming the Na to Na plus by removing one electron. In the similar way, chlorine is available in the form of gas. So we need one chlorine, so we write here half Cl. Okay. Now here between two chlorine one bond is there. So to dissociate this bond we need dissociation energy. So for one chlorine we need, here we will write only half dissociation energy. So half dissociation energy will convert chlorine into chlorine gas. That is the atomic state. Then chlorine will accept one electron and forming Cl minus, and that is called electron affinity. So definitely it will release some amount of energy, that is why we are writing minus Ea. Okay, now chlorine will convert into Cl minus gas. Next what will happen? These two will combine. Okay, and will form NaCl. And here NaCl will be in the solid state. And the amount of energy released will be the lattice energy, that we can write here minus U, as it is releasing. Okay. Otherwise, if you take it plus U, then whenever we will calculate for NaCl, it will come minus. Okay. And here, if we do it one step formation, that will be the heat of formation of NaCl, that is the delta FH. And now, when we discuss thermodynamics, there is one law that is called Hess's law. If we want to do some chemical reaction in a single step or more than one step, in both cases the energy difference will be the same. So according to Hess's law, from this diagram, this Born-Haber cycle, this cycle is called Born-Haber cycle. Okay, we can write that delta FH, that means heat of formation of sodium chloride, will be the S plus half D, that means sublimation energy, plus this half dissociation energy, plus ionization energy. Then we will write that minus electron affinity and minus U, that means lattice energy. Okay. Now in your book the data are given. So here if we consider the what will be the value of delta FH, that will be near about minus 410 kilojoule per mole. And sublimation energy for Na to Na solid to Na gas, that will be around 108.5 kilojoule per mole. And if we consider the dissociation energy of chlorine, and here we have to take that half D, that will come 121.5. Next is ionization energy, to convert Na plus gas from Na gas. Okay, so here the amount of energy is required plus 496 kilojoule per mole. And the electron affinity, when chlorine will be added with one electron forming Cl minus, the amount of energy will be released here minus 349 kilojoule per mole. And next one is our desired thing, that is the lattice energy. Now if we calculate the U, then we will get the value whatever we told, that will be 787 kilojoule per mole. And if we take this U as plus, then it will come as minus. That means this type of energy will be released. Otherwise, this amount of energy we have to give to NaCl to separate the or to dissociate the Na plus and Cl minus. Okay. So in this way we can easily calculate the lattice energy by this Born-Haber cycle diagram. Hope you can understand, and many other Born-Haber cycle diagrams are given in your book, and exercise some problem is there, you will practice from your book. In case of liquid, suppose if you think about that bromine is liquid, then you have to give the vaporization energy. Okay. Then it will go to the gaseous state, then half dissociation energy is required. Understand? So in this way you have to do. Next we will discuss the covalent bond. A covalent bond is the force of attraction which arises due to the mutual sharing of electrons between the two atoms. Now what are the conditions for the formation of the covalent bond? First of all, metals or the atoms, they are forming the covalent bonds. Okay. Generally metal are not forming, exception is there in case of AlCl3. Okay. So here the ionization energy or ionization potential will be very high. So if the ionization potential is very high, generally it will not, it will be very difficult to remove the electron. Definitely they want to share electrons. Understand? Next, equal electronegativity between the atoms or equal electron gain enthalpy. That will also lead to the formation of covalent bond. And next point we can tell that the number of valence electrons. Okay. Each of the two atoms if have 5, 6, 7 number of valence electron, then what they will do? Whether they will release this amount of electron? No. Better they acquire the nearest noble gas electronic configuration by sharing 3, 2 or 1 electron pair. Understand? So in this way we can easily understand which type of atoms or which type of a group of atoms will form that covalent compounds and which type of group of atoms will form the ionic compounds. Okay. Now we will discuss the Lewis structure of this covalent. Already I have discussed in class 10 also. So here I am also discussing. Here we will start from that C2H6. C2H6 is ethane. Okay. So here we will mainly write here one special type of diagram, that is a cross dot diagram. Here to understanding in a better way, we are giving the carbon as dot, the outer electronic. You know the electronic configuration of carbon. Carbon, if you write the electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. That means in outermost shell or valence shell there are 4 electrons. That is why we have written here 4 dot. And if we consider the hydrogen, in 6 hydrogen all having the 1 electron in the outermost shell. Now what will happen? There will be sharing of electron to fill up the octet. So 2 carbon will come, and hydrogen will fill up their duplet. So in this way the structure will be like this. So in this way we can easily show the formation of ethane molecule, okay, by the cross dot diagram. Okay. Next we will discuss another molecule, and you will practice other molecules from your book. There is very important thing, that is the carbon dioxide. Okay, very easy. We think about carbon dioxide, what will be the Lewis structure representation? Okay. So carbon, just now I have discussed 4 electrons are there, and oxygen there will be 2 oxygen is there, 6 electron is there in outermost shell. If we write the electronic configuration of the oxygen, then you can easily understand the electronic configuration of oxygen is 1s2, 2s2, then 2p4. So that means outermost shell contains 6 electrons. Next, we have to take the central atom here, carbon. And there will be sharing of electron between oxygen and carbon. There is double bond, and both oxygen remains 2 lone pair of electrons. So the structure will be like this. So in this way we can show the formation of carbon dioxide molecule. Okay, hope you can understand. Then we will discuss one very important thing, that formal charge. First we have to understand what is formal charge. In a molecule there is no charge. Okay, or if we think about the individual atoms, then there may be charge, like ozone. Okay, ozone is a neutral molecule, but there may be charge on different types of oxygen. 3 oxygen atom is there. Okay, there may be charge. And if we think about in a polyatomic ion, although the charge present on the ion, okay, is the charge on the ion as a whole and not on the individual atoms. Okay, so charge of each atom in a molecule or ion, we can call it that formal charge. Actually, it is the difference between the number of valence electron of that atom in the free state and the number of electrons assigned to that atom in the Lewis structure. Next, we will calculate the formal charge of different types of molecules. Okay. Now one formula you have to remember for understanding. If Fc is the formal charge, that will be V minus L minus half S. Now Fc is the formal charge, V is the total number of valence electrons, and L is the total number of electrons of lone pair, that is non-bonding electrons, and S is the shared pair of electrons, total number of half of total number of shared of electrons. Now we will take the example of ozone. Okay, ozone molecule. If we write the ozone molecule structure, it will be like this. Here 2 electrons will be there, here 2 and here 6 electrons. Now what to do? We have to numbering these oxygens 1, 2 and 3. Then one by one we will calculate. First formal charge on oxygen 1. So here we will apply the formula. So formal charge will be valence electron. So in oxygen, how many valence electron is there? We know that is 6 minus L. What is L? That is the lone pair of electrons. So how many lone pair of electrons is there? Here two pair is there. That means 4 electron. That will be minus 4 minus half into the shared pair of electron. How many bonds are there? 2 bonds. This oxygen is linked with 2 bonds. Okay, a double bond is there. This is linked with the oxygen number 2. So here number of shared electron will be 4. So if we calculate, you will get the value 0. So definitely the formal charge on oxygen atom will be 0. Next, if we calculate the formal charge on oxygen 2, okay, that means this oxygen. So in this oxygen, total number of valence electrons same, that is 6 we are taking, that is the valence electron, minus lone pair of electrons. How many lone pair is there? Only 1 lone pair, that means 2 electron is there. So we write here 2 minus half of shared pair of electron. How many bonds are linked with this oxygen? Here 2, here 1. Total 3. 3 bonds means how many electrons? 6. So if we calculate, it will be plus 1. 6 minus 2 minus 3 plus 1. Now we calculate the formal charge on oxygen atom 3. In oxygen atom 3, here also the number of valence electron is 6, and if we consider the number of lone pair of electrons, that will be also 6, because 3 lone pairs are there in this oxygen 3, okay, and minus half of the bond, only one bond is linked with this O2, okay, there is a number 2 oxygen, so here it will be 2, one bond means 2 electron, so if we calculate, it will come as minus 1. So now we have calculated the formal charge of each oxygen atom. As a whole there is no charge, but if we think about the individual atom, there is charge. Here is 0, here is plus 1, and here is minus 1. Now if we want to represent the molecules, then we can represent in this way. That O actually is forming coordinate bond, okay. So here it will be plus 1, minus 1, and as a whole it is 0, okay. Now what is the advantage of the calculation of this formal charge? Actually, this calculation of formal charge helps to select the most stable structure, and the most stable structure has the smallest formal charge on the atom. So in this way we can judge the stability of a particular structure. Hope you can understand. So others, different types of ions and molecules formal charge you will practice from exercise, okay. Next we will discuss the limitation of octet rule. We have already discussed that atoms will form chemical bond to complete their octet. That means outer shell they want total 8 electrons, okay. That is the electronic configuration of nearest noble gases. That will be very much stable. In atomic structure we have already discussed why the fulfilled electronic configuration is stable, okay. Now if we think about the limitation, hydrogen has the only one shell and it contains only one electron, so it needs one more electron to complete its shell. So here octet is not filled up. Next we think about the molecules which are electron deficient, like BeCl2, B8,3, or we can think about the AlCl3, aluminum trichloride. Here if we draw their structure, then we can understand. Suppose we are drawing this BH3 molecule. So here one bond means 2 electron. How many electron is there? Around boron only 6 electrons. So here octet is not filled up. If we draw the structure of beryllium chloride, here around beryllium there is only 4 electron. Here 2 bonds means 4 electrons. So here also octet is not filled up. So these are the limitations. Next we can discuss the formation of compound like PCl5, SF6, IF7, H2SO4. They have expansion of octet, okay. They have more than 8 electrons, okay. That is also called expansion of octet. If we draw one structure, you can easily understand. If we draw the structure of PCl5, this is the PCl5. Here around phosphorus there is 5 bond. So total number of electron of phosphorus will be 10. So that is excess or more. If we think about SF6, here also around sulfur total number of electron will be 6 bond is there, that means 12 electron. That is also excess. If we think about the IS7, there will be 14 electron. If we draw the structure of sulfuric acid around sulfur, there will be 12 electrons. Okay, so these are the limitations. And next we can tell that the formation of compounds like noble gas, like xenon difluoride, already these compounds discovered. Okay, and if you think about that krypton compound KrF2. We can think about the xenon oxyfluoride XuM2. So these compounds we have already prepared. Okay. So here also already xenon, krypton, their outermost shell is filled up, although they are forming chemical compounds. That means this is also the limitation of octet. And another type of bonds is there, that is odd electron bond. There are some molecules and ions in which the bonded atoms contain odd number of electrons. Okay. Generally one bond contains 2 electrons. Here one bond usually contains 3 electrons between the 2 atoms. Okay. If I draw one example, then you can easily understand. If we draw the structure of nitric oxide, that means NO. So in case of NO, nitrogen has how many electrons? 5 electrons, and oxygen has 6 electrons. So here, if we draw the structure, then the structure will be like this. Okay, here oxygen using 2 electron here, 2 electron here, and it's remain 2 electrons. So 2 electron, and here nitrogen already used 2 electron, and 2 electron remain as lone pair, and 1 electron using here. So there is one bond containing 3 electrons. So this is called odd electron bond, odd electron molecule or odd electron bond. And in case of nitrogen dioxide also, okay, there is odd electron, and you can think about oxygen or superoxide O2 minus, there is also this odd bond concept. So hope you can understand. And today I'll stop here. Okay, today up to this, and next day we'll discuss more about the chemical bonds. So thank you.